tell you, I met an attorney that I'd heard a lot about. I've seen his ads, I've seen his commercials, and he was also a featured speaker at Congressman Danny Davis' event, and I was extremely impressed with his personal journey in focusing his legal career on this issue. And, I'm always impressed when someone of his caliber has, all this education, all this opportunity to go out there and choose careers where they can make a lot of money, but they choose careers where they can actually give back. And I really think that there's no one in the legal field that I know of that has done more for fathers' rights. He's been an advocate in the legal system. He's been an advocate in driving policy to really give, the teeth that we need to support fathers getting back involved in their child's lives, because they do have a right to be involved. And he's written this book called Father's Rights, which I encourage, if anybody has a chance, for people to pick it up and to read it. If you're going through something, I think there's a lot in the book that you can learn from. He was also featured with me on CAN TV. We did a segment about fathers' rights, and I just was told just now that we were in the Tribune yesterday on the topic and on the story that we did on CAN TV. So it was in the Tribune yesterday. So without further ado, I just want to introduce Attorney Jeff Leving and give him an opportunity to really describe his work in his own words as far as why he's involved in the work that he's doing, and maybe share with you some ideas of some of the things you can start working on now that will help fast track the process of getting involved in your children's lives. So without further ado, Attorney Jeff Leving. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's an honor to be here, and I'd like to thank Nellie Vazquez-Rowland for providing compassion yet strength for victims of discrimination and bias, and she's doing a great job. This organization is doing a tremendous job, because many fathers face terrible discrimination. They're kicked out of their children's lives, and we have a broken legal system that doesn't always work. And it's a very, very serious problem. But before I start, I would like to honor two important lawyers, Catherine Delgadillo and Christopher Smith. They're very tough lawyers, and they're compassionate, and they fight a good fight, and they pursue justice every day for victims of our system, and they're here, and I'd like to thank them and acknowledge them. A lot of people wonder why I do what I do. I spoke to a judge years ago who's now retired, who I tried a terrible case in front of. I represented a father falsely accused of sexual abuse. He was falsely accused of abusing his little boy. The allegations were false, and the mother had a team of lawyers. One was the attorney appointed to represent the child, who was basically supporting the mother's counsel, and it was a very difficult case, and my client fired the attorney he was using and hired me to try the case, and the attorney who was using really was having difficulty with the case. When I first met my client, I thought he was guilty because the allegations were so heinous, but after talking to him and investigating, I realized he was really innocent, but his former attorney wasn't handling the case the way I thought it should have been handled. And if convicted, he would have lost his son forever. He probably would have eventually ended up in prison, and he did nothing wrong. There were false allegations. Well, I tried this case, and I'll never forget it. And I won, and the judge, at the end of the case, supervised my client's visitation rights with his little boy, which doesn't make sense because There was no finding of abuse. The judge didn't find he did anything wrong. The judge stated on the record that he was supervising my client's visitation rights, which you can't do under the law unless that parent presents a serious endangerment to his child. And this dad was falsely accused. The judge said on the record that he was supervising the father's visitation rights to protect them from future false abuse allegations. Well, thank God the court didn't find my client having committed the heinous acts he was accused of committing, but supervising his visitation rights alarmed me. But I understood why the judge was doing it, because the child was brainwashed so badly that the child thought he was abused even though he wasn't, from the programming. It was a disaster. And after the case, the judge came up to me and talked to me privately. And he said, "Jeff, why are you wasting your time doing this work, representing these fathers? A lot of lawyers will think it's strange. Why don't you do something else where you could really build a reputation and really make some big money, because you're a good trial lawyer. You're wasting your skills." And I just was shocked. Well, that judge now is retired, and that was a very difficult case. That's one of the cases, one of the reasons I do what I do.